bum 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 Was that exciting for you?
Yeah, that was kind of exciting.
Welcome to the Godzilla podcast. I am Joe.
I'm Drew.
And we have a guest today.
Caleb.
From
Ultima Final Fantasy, Nude Clan, Super Sexy Swinging Fan Fiction, and Getting Fat with Caleb and Joe.
Everything else on the network.
Yes.
I was about to say, what aren't you from, Caleb? Holy crap.
From this show. This is
the
show
the one.
He's not a host of, and he's decided to come crash our party here.
Well, we're partying at his place, so you know.
True, although that is also my fault because I want the recording equipment to stay here so that I can stream the Final Fantasy games with ease when the time comes. So it's totally my deal.
And I don't want to keep bringing the equipment back and forth. It's annoying for me, too.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, we don't have time for that.
So today we are watching, as you heard from our King Kong theme, we are watching King Kong versus Godzilla, the Japanese edition, which I know for many of you guys, hard to get a hold of. But Drew knows the secret. What's the secret, Drew?
Oh, you found out the secret. I only ordered it through the website.
Drew, I found out the secret through Google.
Okay. It's called sumogorilla.com. I think it's .com. Anyway, a website I cannot endorse yet. It's how we were able to view this. It's hard to find DVDs you can get through this website to view.
Maybe Riccio, the story of Ricky?
Oh, yeah. Actually, that was on Netflix for a while, or Hulu.
Oh, was it really?
Mm-hmm. It's
okay.
good. Yeah.
I have no idea what that is.
It's a violent, awesome kung fu, crazy prison movie. I don't know even how to explain it, but Drew showed it to me years ago.
Anime brought to live action. Super gory.
It's pretty amazing. So just as a reminder, guys, this is a commentary / podcast. So if you want to get the full experience, you're going to have to go on to Sumo Gorilla or whatever place that you're going to get a hold of the Japanese version of King Kong versus Godzilla. And you're going to press play at the 000 time code of the movie. And Schweiss, you got the controller ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1, go.
We're viewing Godzilla and King Kong in their first color and widescreen appearance.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I decided that I'm not missing the black and white also.
Toho scope.
No, to be honest.
I you know what's interesting? They went from black and white full screen to just widescreen color. Like they went all the way. They're like, this is going to be a big production.
Yeah, actually, I read in the Wikipedia article it was supposed to celebrate Toho's 30th anniversary.
30th anniversary,
yeah,
really?
As a filmmaking company, it's supposed to be a big, production.
They, of course, had nothing to do with the original King Kong, which was produced by RKO with Willis O'Brien doing the effects, and I believe he directed the movie also. Now, Schweiss, how many Godzilla movies have you seen?
I think 4 now.
You've seen 4 Godzilla movies. Which one?
I've seen this one. I watched it with you guys last week. I've seen the reboot that came out last year before.
The American.
Yeah, the American one. And I've seen the original. And I think I remember seeing some of Godzilla 2000, the one that came out in 98.
Mm-hmm. Wait, the 98 or the 2000?
I can't remember. I remember one with like a bridge exploding and a guy running away from the bridge.
The one with Matthew Broderick? Is that what you're...
I think so, yeah.
That's not Godzilla 2000.
Oh, well, I don't know what it is.
Godzilla 2000 is a good movie.
Oh, is it?
Then that Matthew Broderick one is it's
terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty darn bad.
If it's pretty darn bad, then I mean, like, what do you guys think this is?
I think this is great Godzilla. Okay,
really?
This is Godzilla at its finest.
Exactly, I have to agree.
Oh. Maybe it's a good thing I'm not here then, at least normally.
So what I feel we're having here as a guest, Caleb, not viewing these Godzilla films.
As a Godzilla fan?
Yeah, because...
As a lover of old science fiction giant monster movies?
I'm a fan of good old science fiction giant monster movies.
Yeah, we just have an outsider perspective today, which will be awesome.
Godzilla's the only one. Okay. What monster movies do you...
I've seen King Kong.
Okay.
original. And I've seen the first Godzilla, and I think that was a pretty good movie.
Okay. See, he's all right.
Okay,
He likes the original Godzilla. This movie is directed by Ishiro Honda, who directed the original Godzilla movie.
Oh, okay.
And tell me, Drew, can you tell a difference just in the quality, not necessarily of the writing or anything like that? That's, set aside for just the visual direction of the film. And I'm not talking about color or anything like that. It just seems like a more polished, more interesting sort of look. Do you see that there?
The overall viewing experience of the original Godzilla and this one are quality. Now Godzilla Raids Again, that was a little different.
Godzilla Raids Again is just a little bit trashier in comparison to these two movies. That doesn't mean that these movies are perfect.
Well, how big was the first one? I mean, was it pretty well received initially?
The first one was a pretty big hit. It was a big enough hit that it spawned a sequel.
Well, right, but the sequel may have been just a quick cash grab kind of a thing. We've seen that before.
The sequel was definitely a quick cash grab.
Yeah, so I mean, it's almost...
It was made in 6 months.
Yeah, it's almost like an abomination, so to speak, then, if that's the case, because it's like they don't take it seriously, and if the cash grab does well enough, then sometimes series get back into the swing of things. So.
I think there was a gap of a few years between this one and the last one.
4 years, a 4-year gap.
4-year gap. See, that's pretty big for Japanese production companies who just want to hammer. They're almost like Disney right now. They're just hammering out sequel after sequel after sequel after spin-off in their own monster universe. Okay, you know what I was thinking about the other day? You know, the Avengers movie, and everybody made like a big deal about all these movies in this
universe?
In this particular universe created by these people, and that they're going to have the one movie where they all come together. This has never been done before.
Lies.
Godzilla, giant monster, all-out attack. Does that sound like it's been done before?
Yeah, the one where Joe doesn't like that film, actually, where there's an anime feel to its style, and Godzilla battles every single monster.
Does that one
ever
destroy
battled.
all monsters? I don't know.
Yeah.
The ones where he's like, kill all monsters, all the titles look the same to me. I know there's like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Can we talk about like the acting in this scene? I know all of us complained about it before, but these guys, they don't give a shit.
So it's some Americans in a submarine. Okay, for whatever insane reason, there are like politicians in this submarine in a nuclear sub.
Yeah. Here's the thing. They're not the greatest of actors. They are dubbed over.
Oh, are they really?
On top of that.
Oh, okay.
And they're dubbed over by people who seem to be bored to be there, or at the very least are untrained actors. And all I can think of, having heard this from some YouTube video before, is that when the Japanese people are making movies and they need white people, they have to get the white people living in Japan. They have to get the Americans or Canadians or whatever living in Japan to play Americans usually in their movies. And so, like, the English teachers and the businessmen that are just over from Japan, and they're given these
It's
jobs.
it's like a weekend gig when you got some free time. You're like, yeah, I'll go be in that Godzilla film.
We need white people in the Godzilla movie.
Yeah, their accent is hard to swallow. The American accent.
It's pretty bad. You know, this scene here when they're doing the commercial thing, I was actually kind of taken aback because I know this is like an early 60s movie. It's a giant monster movie. It's campy and all that other stuff. But like when it went to the pop art kind of commercialism with the commercial and the guy with the drums and everything like that, and then of course we're still in the movie kind of a moment for a second there. I thought that was really interesting filmmaking. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, they have a few good cuts in this film from a transition from one scene to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some good transitions. I mean, there's one that really is not good, but there's one that's really awesome.
Which one's not good?
Well, I'll let you know when I see it.
You'll let me know? Okay.
Yeah, it's just like abrupt. I remember one like crazy abrupt, just yeah. But
what I wanted to talk about right here, they're talking about having discovered these berries on an island. It just made me think of how awesome it would be, because we live in a day and age where the world is explored. We have
Right.
satellites filming. We can see anywhere. The whole Earth has been explored. This
Except
kind
for
of
under the sea.
Exactly. Yeah. Woo. Interesting stuff. This delves into the human idea of there being unknown parts of the world and undiscovered things like those berries that they just
Right.
showed. And that's where King Kong spawns from. Is he's an unknown. He's out on an island where it hasn't been explored yet. And could he exist? Is he just a myth? You don't know.
It is kind of an exciting concept. Believe it or not, the world is not as small as we think it is. Considering we couldn't find a freaking airplane that was lost in the ocean.
There could have been some political cover up there, but yes.
Oh, come on.
That's my theory.
Oh, jeez.
You got to get this guy with Dylan.
No. So the guy who's kind of at fault, should I say at fault?
Yes, he is.
Responsible for lightening up the Godzilla movies is none other than the special effects director Eiji Tsuburaya. He was the one who, in this movie especially, said that he wanted to appeal to children with his monster movies.
I can see that with King Kong's design, perhaps.
It definitely has a lighter feel. Not that Raids Again had a really dark feel, but it did have a darker feel than this movie.
Oh, you're talking about the overall tone. Okay, yes.
Yeah, the tone of the movie and whether or not the monsters are scary. Now, they weren't really scary in the last movie just because they, weren't.
Yeah.
But they certainly weren't doing flips over each other or anything like that.
No. Yeah, just the fact that this movie starts out with a comedy, with our main pharmaceutical director guy.
Yeah.
And he's a very much physical comedy. I can see
slapsticky, yeah.
Yeah, I can see how that could be appealing to children.
Yeah. Unfortunately, later on, I think Ishiro Honda, he stated that he didn't like the direction that they went with the Godzilla films, despite having been the director of this movie and a few other Godzilla movies after this. He said that in his mind, the monsters should never be childish in any way. They should always be scary.
Yeah. I could see that. I mean, it's supposed to be a frightening calamity that happens to Japan. It's not supposed to just be, there's that Godzilla,
And he considered for his whole life that the first Godzilla was his masterpiece.
Yeah.
That was his film, and that was the movie. Of course, we've talked about this before. That was the movie he was hoping would stop nuclear war, nuclear testing, and it of course didn't do anything.
I love how this guy comes home and his sister is just macking with this dude.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the
and then
weird relationship thing going on here.
Yeah, and now he's got this floss that's just indestructible, and he's really freaking this dude out.
Super strong floss that he's playing Spider-Man off a balcony with.
Yeah. Super random. I mean, this doesn't even appear in the rest of the movie, does it? It's just
Why is
part.
the cloth...
Oh, yeah, they don't use it on the island. Yeah, okay, I thought that he was decking him out with some sort of a gadget for the island that they it would be useful for them somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't use it.
Yeah, I know. It's really
forgot about it.
disconnected. It's oh, look at this awesome thing we made. All right, now don't worry about it anymore.
Perhaps through filming it, they expected to use it on the island, and then they just cut those scenes or something. I don't know.
Maybe they used it. I don't know. It was supposed to be the initial thing to carry King Kong when they pick him up. Just something ridiculous like that. That's why he's got strings.
Yeah, when this initially started, I was really taken aback because the guy was coming in all suspicious and then the other guy is there, and I thought he was with his girlfriend, and I didn't realize that it was actually the sister that was the thing.
Yeah.
And that was a really weird moment for me because I don't know, maybe it's just American film and I'm not used to brother and sister living together.
Yeah, it's funky. This guy looks like a fat David Morse. The guy from, what is he in? He's in that Disturbia movies, the evil guy in that movie.
Right, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's a fat man version of him.
Gotta point out, these are the worst crew on a nuclear sub. Okay, they want to look at this iceberg, right, and then they just run right into it. And then later on, just not too far into the film here, after Godzilla bursts out of this iceberg, you see that there's an American base, like military base, right next to the iceberg. So they were just on like a little...
Yeah, a little journey, like a day trip.
Pleasure cruise. Yeah, exactly.
You what? You wrecked the sub? You were out for 20 minutes.
Killed all the politicians on that sub.
Come on. How are we going to sell the contract now?
I do have some issues with the wardrobe in this movie. Every time one of these journalists have to... Are they journalists? Is that what they are?
So are you asking about the occupations of these guys?
Yeah.
Okay. I just read, because I didn't understand it either through watching the film.
Okay.
So in the Wikipedia article, okay, this is a little convoluted. It's a pharmaceutical company that sells itself through these commercials. They're like an advertising company.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
So these are advertising dudes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Men in advertising.
And they have to
businessmen.
get a hold of the stuff for the pharmaceutical company?
It's for ratings.
Okay, all right.
For the
Now
newspaper.
back to the wardrobe thing. Every time one of these guys has to go out to anything besides where they live in the city, they have to put on these ridiculous...
It's like safari clothes. It's like
Safari
the only American they've ever
outfit?
seen is Teddy Roosevelt, you know?
Yeah, it is a Teddy Roosevelt outfit. That's true.
So, and they're wearing it at the party. They're not even to the island yet.
Yeah, they're like
They're like,
pregame in
"Hey,
this
let's
outfit.
get ready to go. It's a 22-hour boat ride, but better put these on now.
They've got
I may not have time when I get there.
yeah, they have to sell the idea to the public that they're these explorers when they're definitely not.
Right.
Also, hey, I wanted to point out that the continuity from Godzilla Raids Again to this one is still there, because Godzilla Raids Again, Godzilla gets buried in ice. Could have been on an iceberg. It looked like it was just like an island.
It was definitely an island, Drew.
Okay, well, yeah,
So it's a little off.
he was buried
It's
in
like
ice.
they buried him in ice, and then that thing of ice just fell, and he was in it. Like it slid off the island and into the water and started floating away as an iceberg.
It's just interesting that they decided to keep the continuity in spite of Godzilla Raids Again not being a great film.
Yeah. It only keeps the continuity if you didn't see the movie a week before, I guess.
Oh, I
Because
guess.
otherwise it'd be like, oh yeah. Iceberg,
Yeah, ice,
I remember. Yeah.
Snow.
And
They buried him in it.
It was 4 years between Godzilla Raids Again and this film.
Yeah.
Which, when it comes to the main, Godzilla franchise of yearly Godzilla films, that's quite a big gap, actually.
Apparently this was the most successful Godzilla film ever in terms of tickets sold.
Wow.
It's
Isn't
a
that
big
crazy?
bill. King Kong versus Godzilla.
That's true.
Two
and
very well-known
It
names.
was, I guess it did okay in the United States. I mean, considering it was a dubbed Japanese movie, it made $1.25 million back in 1962, and that ain't bad. That ain't bad money.
Yeah.
And this is one of the coolest special effects in the movie right here. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they got like the bottom of the flame image on the top of the submarine.
I think
Yeah,
it's
I
just
don't
an upside down flip like image. I think that the flame actually is on the ground and they made it look like it was, on the ceiling.
It legitimately looks like it's going sideways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a very interesting
it's
shot.
a kind of a crazy shot. So are they at Skull Island?
I don't think it ever says explicitly Skull Island.
Okay.
And also, who knows if this is in any way connected to like the King Kong film everybody
Right.
knows.
Well, King Kong would be dead.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'd be
That's
something else of his
That's what I'm
species
saying.
here.
And I had to insert this then. Just reminded me of The Simpsons, where they have their Treehouse of Horror specials, the Halloween specials.
Right.
There's one where Homer is King Kong, and as they're going to Skull Island, Lenny and Carl, they're talking with each other. Lenny's like, "Oh, we have to go to Skull Island. I wish we were going to Candy Apple Island." And he's like, "What's on Candy Apple Island?" Apes. But they're not so big. Oh, dang it. No, they call it. I totally ruined the whole joke.
That's a weird
It's
joke, Drew.
Giant Ape Island. They're going to Giant
Ape Island.
Yeah.
Okay.
They call it Giant Ape Island.
All
What's on Candy Apple Island? Apes. But they're not so big.
So this was apparently a film that came out of Willis O'Brien. So Willis O'Brien, if you know, did the special effects for the original King Kong film in 1933. And before then, he had worked on the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World, which was kind of his, pre-movie to get all the technology in order to make King Kong.
Right.
He had a couple other failed projects that were like, there were other dinosaur movies, basically, and King Kong was the big hit. So that's where his career kind of started. And Ray Harryhausen was, I think he was like... I think he trained under him, and of course Ray Harryhausen took what Willis O'Brien did and just took it to the next level. As far as stop motion animation goes, Ray Harryhausen is the guy.
Yeah.
But Willis O'Brien wanted to make a sequel to King Kong called King Kong versus Frankenstein, I believe.
Yeah, I had a few name changes throughout.
And he couldn't get the rights, and so... he couldn't get the rights to, or he didn't think he could get the rights to Frankenstein because he thought that Universal owned the right to the name Frankenstein, but they turned out, of course, to not own the rights to the name Frankenstein.
They only own the rights to the makeup.
Right. And the producer he was working with, and I can't remember his name, maybe I'll bring it up later. The producer he was working with started shipping it around to other studios, try to get another monster involved in it. And all the studios, they didn't want to do stop motion animated film because apparently that was really expensive to do back then. And so they said, then he went to Toho, and they said, yeah, but we got to do Suitmation.
Toho had wanted to do a King Kong film for a while.
Wait, so are we talking?
I think it was the second Japanese King Kong movie here. I'll find out more about the other one though.
We talking Godzilla versus like the Doctor Frankenstein or his monster?
No, his monster.
I guess technically
okay.
it would have been called King Kong versus Frankenstein's monster. You're right, but
Back then it's
the monster
for sure, yeah.
Does that bug you when they call
It kind
the
of does,
monster
yeah.
Frankenstein?
It's like it's not. It's his monster. He's Dr. Frankenstein. It's not his son. It's like a bunch of dead bodies combined into one.
So I've never read the book. Does he have a name?
It's just the monster. I don't think
It's
he
the
actually
monster.
has a name, yeah.
Okay.
It's just his monster.
All right. That's interesting.
I think that's why the name Frankenstein's just been adopted. Just over time, people just got lazy and didn't say the monster part. They're just
remember
like,
when that movie coming out, it was like, I Frankenstein? It's like, no, you not Frankenstein.
yeah.
yeah, that movie looks terrible just from commercials. So
It flopped and nearly killed that one dude's career, but I can't remember his name either.
the guy from Batman, I don't know.
Yeah, Two-Face.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So when watching these scenes with the Islanders, when our advertising agent businessmen turned explorers come to the island, I was like, at this
Elephant
point, I just
hunters.
thought, wow, the budget for this film, I mean, all these actors and dressed up and the set where they're at. Yeah.
All painted. And,
All black-faced.
yeah.
Black-faced Japanese people, yeah.
Because they couldn't get any Polynesians, I guess.
I don't know. Those are definitely Japanese people.
Those are
though.
definitely Japanese
Look at
people
the chief's
painted up.
face. Come on.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's tobacco. It'd be funny if it was had a nice close up of Marlboro on the side as the guy was handing it to him.
Yeah.
And then another guy just yeah. It would add to, I think, the commerciality of the movie, They're an advertising company, right?
Yeah,
so then
that's
the movie
true.
advertises to us.
Love how they give
Yes.
the kid a cigarette.
Yep.
And then the lady behind him doesn't take both cigarettes, only takes one to light her own, and then probably lights the child's afterwards.
Oh, okay. So apparently after the Frankenstein thing, I'm skipping ahead. After the Frankenstein thing, they had made a script called King Kong versus Prometheus. And then they sold King Kong versus Prometheus to Toho, and that became King Kong versus Godzilla. I don't know who the Prometheus monster would have been.
So that's just another name for
That's interesting.
for Frankenstein.
Is it?
Yeah, it said in the article something Prometheus. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. Here we go. Actually, do we see do we see King Kong in this section? No, it's just the part with the lightning and the thunder. And
I think they appropriately give it quite a build up for King Kong.
That's true. We don't see him for a while. How do you feel about his suit?
It's a man in a monkey suit.
It's definitely a man in a monkey suit.
I think they did a good enough job that when the scene happens where he's in the water and he comes out of the water, it still looks like, good. Because if you get, I can just imagine that if you got a not well-made man in a monkey suit wet, it would look terrible, like a suit. Still looks good, though.
You talking final scene?
No, the part when they're trying to drag him back to the land and then they explode the raft.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was interested when King Kong was going to emerge from the water, how he'd look. Because, if they made that suit terribly and he gets soaked, it's going to look bad. No, it still look good.
Yeah, there's some interesting effects in the movie.
That, and as well, that had to be one of the most comfortable monster suits for any suit actor ever. Because it's, it's just like a guy.
Yeah, it's just made for you.
Okay, so I lied. This was the first, as far as I can find right now, this was the first Japanese King Kong movie.
The sequel would be King Kong Escapes, which
King
I looked
Kong
up
Escapes.
a little bit of, and there's a mecha King Kong that he fights. Pretty cool.
1967 kaiju film, Japanese-American co-production, directed by Ishiro Honda.
King Kong
dude
Escapes?
To go to. Eiji Tsuburaya is the special effects director, so it's basically the same team that did this movie. Let's see. What is it about? An evil genius named Doctor Who creates Mechani-Kong.
Doctor Who.
A robotic version of King Kong to dig for a radioactive element X found only at the North Pole.
I'm pretty sure Element X or something like that has to do with the
Planet
Mecha
X.
Godzilla. Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Does Element X come from Planet X?
I don't know.
Which makes me think of Duck Dodgers in the 21st and a half century or whatever.
The two giant monsters face off at Tokyo Tower at the end of the movie. That's cool. You got to check out this stupid, or I shouldn't say stupid before I see it. We ought to check out this King Kong Escapes thing. It looks pretty boss.
So to preface this whole movie, and of course the fight between King Kong and Godzilla, I am so grateful. Obviously, to even make the fight feasible between King Kong and Godzilla, that the Japanese King Kong is a little bit larger than our American King Kong.
A little bit, a tiny bit,
He's as big as these tall buildings instead of, climbing on top of the tall buildings. Otherwise, Godzilla's got the fight in the bag.
Do we have an official height for Godzilla around this time?
I think we do. I remember seeing a chart when the new movie came out. It had the new Godzilla and then the previous years.
Yes.
He's way bigger now. I know that.
The legendary Godzilla is the biggest, tallest, and weight-wise Godzilla put to film to date.
The new Godzilla movie?
Yeah.
Resurgence? Godzilla Resurgence?
No, the
Japanese one coming soon?
No, this one, the legendary
I know.
film. Yes. Oh,
the new
big.
Japanese one is even bigger.
Oh, yeah. The suit.
Good God.
So normally the suits that these suit actors are in are, roughly the size of a human, a little taller because of Godzilla's head. The suit used in this new Toho line, it's called Godzilla Resurgence. It's twice the size of an adult person.
Godzilla's supposed to be 164 feet tall.
Basically, the scaling of Godzilla was done
movie.
through to a practical effect, as in the original Gojira, they wanted to have Godzilla just tall enough that his head would be able to loom over the tallest buildings. Mm-hmm. Okay, throughout the years, as Tokyo and Japan itself has evolved, their skylines gotten a little larger, their buildings have gotten bigger, so they've scaled Godzilla to the Japanese skyline, basically. So that's why he's gotten taller, is so that he looks menacing next to these buildings.
Something odd I found about this movie is that in most Godzilla movies, I really do believe most Godzilla movies, Godzilla comes out of the water and onto the land and starts attacking. And in this movie, both King Kong and Godzilla, although you see him in the water and you see him on the land, they don't ever really transition between the two. I just thought that was kind of odd. Like, when I was watching this movie for the first time, it was like there was just suddenly a cut and Godzilla was on the land. I was like, oh okay.
Yeah, you don't
right,
see him in
that's
the water
unusual.
very much. It's true. Maybe they had technical problems with the suit. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they wanted to give the suit guy a day off. Having to be in the water.
So did you notice, Joe?
Man, some of these explosions are way cool. Look at how it's like trailing through. How did they do that? Like, how did they control the burn to the speed which they knew to pan the camera?
Probably like a flamethrower kind of thing. Just like
Maybe they were shooting it. I don't know. I thought that was a pretty darn cool effect.
Yeah, they did great effects in this first Godzilla venture into color and widescreen.
So Godzilla, 164 feet tall. The original King Kong, 25 feet tall.
Yeah, okay. Even as a
little
child,
bigger. A little. Maybe he was like a baby King Kong on the island,
even
in
in
the first movie.
elementary school, I always thought, okay, so if King Kong was against Godzilla, it wouldn't make any sense because King Kong climbs to the top of the Empire State Building and is, hanging from the top. I'm like,
Right.
Godzilla's as big as the Empire State Building. Doesn't work. That fight would be a no-brainer.
Right.
That's what I always
It's
thought.
obviously not the same thing. This is really weird.
Recurring actors in these Godzilla films.
They're all over the place. Like in the last movie, they had the one guy, the brother, and that got smushed at the beginning of the first Godzilla film. He shows up, and in this movie, Dr. Serizawa, the hero of Godzilla,
Of Gojira, Godzilla,
original
King of
Godzilla.
Monsters.
he just shows up as some dude.
Yeah.
Some evil dude. No eye patch. And his name's not Dr. Serizawa, but the actor is there.
Also a minor character in Gojira as well. A newscaster, like a reporter guy.
That's
he shows
right.
up
He's
here as well.
right there.
Yep.
yeah. I remember that
Pretty
guy.
prominent underling from our comical executive guy.
Oh, Willis O'Brien was also the special effects for the King Kong-like movie, Mighty Joe Young, by the way. I didn't know that.
I like that movie.
Yeah, I never... No, I have seen it, actually. I saw it when I was a kid, but it's been a long time.
It's like an
Heartfelt
Asian. What is that guy from Lord of the Rings? That's what that guy looked like, just barely. Frodo.
An Asian Frodo.
An Asian Elijah Wood?
Yeah,
I don't
Asian,
know what you're talking about, man.
You missed it. It's too late.
I'd show him again.
Asian Elijah Wood.
So again, with the build-up to the reveal of the monsters, I think that good Godzilla movies, good giant monster movies, do that well. They have that element down pat where you wait a while before you reveal your monster. It's supposed to be like, you want the build-up.
Yeah, you usually do want the build-up. The people behind me in the theater, the 2014 Godzilla, did not think that was the case.
No, old people should never watch science fiction movies.
Yeah.
Please do tell.
Well, I mean, they're sitting behind us, and the guy's wife is like, "Oh, when's the monster coming out?" He's like, "Oh, is that going to be the monster? Is that Godzilla? Is that this? Is that that?" I'm like, "God, shut up, lady."
Exactly. There doesn't have to be an explanation for
Like,
everything.
this
It's
is a
science
soul movie. This is it. This is all encompassing. Just watch. You'll find out. And if you can't, then why? Why are you here?
I don't think Warner Brothers would have the balls to release a movie called Godzilla that never showed Godzilla. I mean, it will show Godzilla eventually.
fiction. Yeah.
Right?
You just gotta have the patience.
Yeah.
Early blue screen technologies in this movie we'll see soon.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest.
Blue screens, are you calling? I call it like flat wall projected. Throw stuff at.
I thought the
It's
most
definitely blue screen.
All
You
right.
can see the blue, not here. I mean, there is blue on the screen.
There is
right
blue,
now.
yes.
But I'll point it out later when the blue screen is being.
Oh, I think I know what you're
the
talking
toy alligator.
So it's made extremely comical by the fact that they're like, he's like, get it off me, get it off me. He's twirling around a toy alligator. He's just
Yeah.
holding onto the tail.
Like the way it swings, it's just such a toy. I don't know. It's so sad. It's so sad that what they did in this movie, but I still very much enjoy this movie. I think the build-up, first of all, works really well. Cutting back and forth between Godzilla and this menace that we know is King Kong, definitely. And and then when they finally meet, it's in the third act. It's just so satisfying.
And the build-up to showing King Kong, all this stuff that takes place on the island. The first, when we were watching this, I thought, this is really, really similar to King Kong, to the first one, they come to the island, they, it's so similar that I thought, okay, where's their female sacrifice? Like, where's the hot chick that they're going to take to King Kong? That happens a little later, King Kong finds a lady, but...
Always.
Yeah, they got the one lady with the large coconuts.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I never understood that character that he was just talking to there. Is he an islander with regular
He's their
clothes
guide.
on, or is he just really tan?
He at least can speak their language. I mean, he's like a translator between the explorers and the islanders.
Yeah, I think he's...
There's the big coconuts. Look at those things.
They're pretty nice.
They're totally not really that big, man.
No, man. It's the coconuts. I know they're actually coconuts.
Exactly.
Coconuts isn't a euphemism for anything. She has large coconuts.
Strapped to her chest, yes.
Strapped to her chest.
So this is the beginning of our interesting effects in this movie.
Yeah, interesting effects. They're using an actual octopus as the giant octopus.
Yeah.
Pretty legit for that, I will say.
Yeah, I mean, it looks so real, all right?
It is real.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
We would be able to tell if it wasn't real.
There's so much blue screen later on in this movie that the bright blue backgrounds for these scenes and for a few other scenes where the blue is the sky, I'm part of me thinks that maybe they had the blue in the background thinking that they were going to key it out and put something else back there, and that they just decided to forego that as like night sky.
I think you're right, because it's that shade of blue.
Yeah, it's a blue.
Yeah.
For blue screen effects, and we'll see a couple here soon. This is I don't know. I don't think the scene adds to the movie too much.
It's just kind of
I guess
cool...
they needed some kind of tension, like we need something to attack.
Yeah,
they don't cut away from Godzilla for no reason.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of cool.
I think somebody just had the idea of live action octopus
there's the blue
destruction.
Screen. See the blue outlining his sides?
Yeah.
That's how you know it's not a projected image.
The most interesting use of the blue screen on this, I think, is when so King Kong is knocked out in Japan. He's like in the streets, they put him to sleep. They have the blue screen effect in the foreground of the like military people tying him up or whatever. You have King Kong lying down, and then you can tell they animated people, like they drew people on top of like King Kong to make it look like there's military personnel like climbing on top of him.
That was one of the cool moments. Some stop motion in the film where the octopus grabs one of the people with his tentacle.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
It does look awesome. I do look at that whip. We didn't mention here. Caleb was talking about projections earlier. They do use some rear projection on some of these things where the people are looking at the monster, Also, and one of the best shots in the world is when they're throwing their spears at the
yeah, right there.
the screen
bounces off.
And
that's when it bugs me.
Yeah.
There's an obvious shadow as to where the object is and where the lights are coming from.
You can see that.
It's not.
You can see it bounce against the screen itself.
It's not so much that bugs me as when they miss the octopus and it bounces off the screen, because the screen is there. It's all screen. But they didn't even hit the octopus, so it's not actually bouncing off of anything but background to the audience. And I'm like, you couldn't have like shot that again and maybe actually hit the octopus. You just we'll leave it. It's fine. Yeah.
Well, we cut away from it fast enough. No one will notice. except for the people who view it twice and have a podcast.
Yeah, no one's gonna get a hold of this movie.
Noticed it the first time, the bouncing off against the against the film projection.
What do you think's better? The missiles, the fire, the bottle rockets that were bouncing off the sound screen in Gojira, or that?
Which one's
you remember
less noticeable or more awesome?
More awesome.
More awesome is probably the stuff in the first Godzilla movie where they're just like bouncing off the side of the studio. It's something that I don't think you would notice unless someone pointed it out. Hey, look back there. They're bouncing off the actual side of the set.
Yep, the back of the set.
Now we finally get the King Kong reveal, and he's pissed at this octopus. He hates it.
This is an ugly ass King Kong.
He's stomping on his drugs. He's going for it.
Yeah, I'm confused. They're like some kind of painkillers, or that was awesome.
Yeah,
face hugger on King Kong here.
It's jarring for me to see. So when they have like a shot of King Kong's face, and they obviously use like a puppet or sometimes possibly stop motion, the face is very different from when it's farther away and the suit actor King Kong. I think the face looks very different.
Yeah, it does look pretty different. I'll have to look for it though. I don't think I was looking for it the first time. But apparently they use like 5 octopi for this scene. You would think they would just use one, but I guess octopus union rights had them.
Yeah, they can only work like 30 seconds a day.
Right. Well, maybe the octopus is just like asleep the whole time. It was like, don't bug me. Or here's a culturalist, a racist maybe idea. Maybe
they ate him.
They couldn't help it. They just ate the octopus and they had to get new.
I thought maybe they just killed him on accident. Like they were giving him these fake houses to build, and they were accidentally like spearing themselves with the little toothpicks.
Yeah, King Kong needs his fix.
Yeah,
taking his alcohol, his sleeping
at the end of a hard day. Oh wow, yeah, his face is screwed up in comparison.
Yeah, it looks so different. It's like slimmer, and the nose is way longer.
Berry juice, good.
I think that the face, when it's like the suit actor and it's further away, looks more like an ape face than when it's close up.
Yeah,
it's the end of a hard day, and King Kong is, he's got his little stash of stuff that just knocks him out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he got woken up early. We don't know what his sleep schedule's like.
Yeah, maybe.
He's supposed to sleep for 200 years,
he loves
not
that
100.
shit, though.
Yeah, the Islanders conveniently place it in King Kong size like cups.
Yeah, like where the hell did they get those? Like
they make them
huge clay table.
In the last shot, there was definitely an extra that was looking directly at the camera. Sorry, I just had to
fired.
I had to say it.
Yeah, I think we've counted that in about every Godzilla film we've seen so far. Film. There's been an extra that's looked at the camera.
Yeah, they can't help it, man. They can't help it. Oh, here's some of the famous blue screen.
Okay, so this like musical number dancing scene thing, they like to do this in Godzilla movies. Have you noticed that? They just have like people singing.
Yeah, well, this one's a little sexier than most.
Well, yeah.
The coconut women. I mean, they look bored, but I mean, the body movements are a little bit more than just the bowing from Godzilla versus Mothra or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. The one that I'm thinking of specifically, I don't remember the film. There's one where they awaken this, like, he looks like a cat monster that pops out of a mountain.
It's Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Okay. So you remember that? The girl singing to awaken the monster? She sings for, like, a really long time.
She sings for like an hour and a half. What do you?
It's like 5 minutes.
Half the movie, yeah.
Like 5 minutes straight of her just singing, and there's a build up to it, so she gets louder and louder and faster and faster. It goes for a long time.
I think it's more like a dog creature. Of course, our main dancer is the giant coconut lady.
Yes.
Jeez Louise. She's
shaking them hips.
She is going for it.
Her face isn't really, though. She looks her face is bored.
Yeah.
The thing to it's I've been using this word way too often lately, so I feel like a dick using it. It's a stoic sort of thing.
Yeah, her face is very serious.
Did you just
Yet her
find the
body
word?
movements are
No, I didn't.
quite wild.
I just started reading some Stoic philosophies, and now it's just popping up in my daily life. You know, when you just have a word that's occurred or a word that you learn, and then all of a sudden it's the word of the month.
You notice it every time you say it more often. So did you see that like really colorful rainbow drum thing?
I did.
I just think it's
been in a
funny
few
that
shots.
later on, I guess they took one of those as a souvenir back to the mainland because when they put King Kong to sleep later,
Oh yeah, they have
that.
one. Yeah,
They just have this idea. Oh, suddenly let's put him to sleep. You know, that'll work. They just have these instruments.
that's true. Yeah, they do have those. I never
Well,
thought
look,
about that.
King Kong needs the radio on just a little bit while he's going to sleep. I don't see what the big deal is. And obviously they want to play his favorite song.
Or they're just commercially produced drums.
Oh, yeah. Well, it has that like rainbow pattern.
They
on
went
the
down
top,
to
but
Best
you're
in
right.
Music, these villagers, and just gave them some of their juice. They're like,
That
oh, hell yeah,
juice.
I'll trade for this.
So it's some medicine for what does the medicine do for people?
It's probably one of those like snake oil
Oh,
cure-all
it was like a
potions.
painkiller, right?
I don't know.
I think it was a painkiller. So King Kong's on painkillers. He's on pain meds, man. He has a problem.
He's like the bane of giant monsters. He just always has to have painkillers going into his
Yeah,
body.
it's juice.
I wonder if he
exactly.
just goes into like a super depression if he doesn't have them. Like starts ripping villagers in half. And
Yeah, instead of wooing over his female sacrifices, he like gets annoyed by them. Okay, so
Oh, that was the weird cut. That one right there, where it's just like, ka.
oh yeah, there's
yep.
a jump cut there.
It's not. I don't know. It's weird and jarring to me.
there was one in Gojira too. Remember, Joe? When
Yeah,
she
there
gets up,
is one in the
when she
original
stands
one.
up.
I don't see. Once again, that's one of those things where it could be the print that they made the DVD out of. Not this DVD, obviously. Whatever DVD that this DVD came out of.
Yeah.
This guy, Sumer Gorilla, is burning DVDs.
Yeah, that's why we don't endorse. But if it's the only way to view it,
Whatever thing that came out of, it might have just been the surviving print, and the surviving print could have been missing a few frames.
Yeah, that's possible.
That is possible. Now I don't remember if the sound cut also. If the sound didn't cut, I think it'd be weird that they didn't just like take a reaction shot or just cut it shy because they obviously their footage got
Oh
jumbled.
yeah, the
Yes!
the freaking toy coming down.
Yeah, like one of those parachute men.
Yeah.
You know, 4th of July parachute.
He's
men.
got like the little plastic base and everything.
yep.
It's just ridiculous.
Oh,
This like studio or advertising executive, pharmaceutical guy, whatever. He's all about that like slapstick comedy.
I want to say this guy is never going on the island. Has to still wear
The stuff.
he's
He's just pumped.
the explorer
Dude,
uniform.
his face looks like one of those fake mustache with the glasses and nose thing. Like it's just perfect.
You're right.
It's like they modeled it after this guy. Look at that.
I hadn't even noticed his nose, but you're right. Yeah.
He's just gonna pull it off and he's gonna be a normal guy.
Oh yeah.
At what point did the safari uniform become the safari uniform?
I think what Caleb said, the Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy
'Cause
Roosevelt?
that's totally what you wore.
Yeah, it's reserved for the awesome
See, I'm looking for it.
and a pharmaceutical
Brave
company.
American
I'll have to find
frontiersman.
a fashion historian. That's what I have to
Get him
look
on
for
here.
and be like, hey, what's up with this thing going on? What is this?
And then the Hawaiian shirts too.
What's even more confusing is that he's wearing a freaking tie
Oh, true.
with the explorer outfit.
He just threw the jacket
or the
on.
Boy
and
Scout
left.
uniform or whatever the hell he has on for no reason. You know, when I'm out on sea, only tan.
So I was thinking maybe we'd get into this a little later, but we can mention it now. I remember watching on the Classic Media Collection one of the special features for Gojira. They talked a little bit about the suit actors for these first Godzilla films.
Right.
So the first suit actor, the one who played Godzilla in Gojira, so he was Godzilla in Gojira, in Godzilla Raids Again, and in this film. The the guy who was kind of like
Hall of Famer, I see.
Yeah, exactly. He played Godzilla in 3 different suits. The other possible suit actor candidate who could have become Godzilla in that film, he ended up being Anguirus in Godzilla Raids Again, and he's King Kong in this film.
So he's always playing the opposite guy.
Yeah, so far in these early films. And he's a strong guy. That scene, or the move that King Kong pulls on Godzilla, where he completely
King
flips
Kong
Godzilla.
The move. Sorry.
Yeah.
He flips Godzilla.
He flips Godzilla
Which
over
is an
his
amazing,
head.
amazing part.
The suit actor actually did that. And that's like at this point, probably at least 150 pound suit. In the original Godzilla, it's about 220 pound suit. It's between like 50 and 80 in Godzilla Raids Again, because it was significantly reduced. This one looks pretty hefty. So he's flipping over his head the suit actor's weight of Godzilla plus the suit, just like it was nothing. I mean, that's a pretty cool shot.
I think there's a little bit of special effects trickery in that shot.
I don't know. We'll watch it again.
We will watch it again. I think you're going to be surprised. There's a little bit of extra something helping it along.
There's definitely trickery in Godzilla's comeback move when he drop kicks King Kong in the chest. When that happened, all of us, we were like, oh!
It was pretty sweet, and I'm excited to see it again.
Yeah, me too. I was really excited to see this movie again.
So our female characters here, it's... What was it? Godzilla 2000 had the journalist girl who was really feisty and... going after. Oh, and Godzilla vs. Mothra has it to some extent also. Kind of the same female archetypal journalist role.
Yeah.
What's up with journalists in Godzilla movies? They're all over the place.
Exactly.
The female characters in this movie are a little bit they leave us wanting a little bit.
Kind of lacking, yeah.
Yeah, they could have been taken out of the movie and nothing would have changed.
Honestly, I don't know who's who as far as they are concerned. They're just women.
Exactly. It's a pretty interchangeable cast.
That's what I'll be quoted as on this show. They're just women. You know, it's
well, in this movie, they kind of are just women.
It's true.
Two very attractive women, by the way.
Yeah, that is very
like
true.
To say.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That
In every
makes
Godzilla film so far, our main cast women, you know.
That's your
Top
comeback.
notch.
That's your save for us. Is they're attractive, so it's okay. They don't.
Well,
have to,
I'd like to
they don't
point
have to
out
be good.
the very pretty Japanese actresses in these movies. Okay, they usually they're pretty good at picking them.
They're easy on the eyes.
They're easy on the eyes. There you go.
I also...
Anything to make these movies easier to watch. No, I'm just kidding. This movie's great. This
This one is the beginning of, original Gojira and Godzilla King of Monsters. Good films.
Mm-hmm.
The last one we just went through, not so good.
I think Godzilla Raids Again is good for one watch.
Yes.
In the original Japanese version.
Gigantus, you don't ever need to see that.
Gigantus can go to hell and never come back.
Now they're gonna give Godzilla his train for the movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like
There's
they're
always a
offering
train.
here.
There's always a train.
Knock yourself out.
This scene coming up with the train, like visually, it reminded me a lot of the new Godzilla movie, the 2014 one.
Yeah, same. And I don't think we even said that out loud.
The train-covered hills and the train going through. I don't know. It's like visually, it looks very similar. So I'm wondering what. I know Gareth Edwards, when he was doing the newest Godzilla movie, I think he went to Australia. He was on a trip in Australia where he could actually get a hold of all the Godzilla movies after he was offered the job, and he watched every single one. So I'm wondering what he picked and choose from.
Too bad he didn't have our podcast to go with it at the time. It wasn't out yet.
It's too
Would have
bad.
helped him.
Yeah.
Helped him immerse himself in Godzilla fandom.
See, I remember I was reading the New York Times about him getting the job, and I was like, okay, I have to go see Monsters right now.
I still haven't seen
I went
that.
to
I want
Redbox and I watched Monsters. I was very surprised. It's a very art filmy kind of monster movie, which you don't see, and it was very refreshing. I liked it a lot.
It's just called Monsters.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
called Monsters.
I'm gonna have to watch.
He made it for like no money and did all the effects himself and everything like that.
Godzilla has big claws in this film.
He does. And he's not as dorky looking as Godzilla Raids Again Godzilla.
No, not on the
but
slightest.
he is still somewhat dorky looking.
Filmed straight on, yes, the suit looks a little strange. Joe was pointing out, I don't like the way he looks. And I said, okay, when he turns to the side, it's better. Then he turned to the side, it is better. But for the introduction of Godzilla and this whole train scene in the beginning, you mostly see him straight on, and it looks weird.
He's got the little beady little top of the head that is really the thing that throws me off. I think I'm most used to like the Godzilla versus Mothra suit. And my favorite suit is still the Godzilla 2000 suit.
Yeah, I would agree because of
It's the spikes, man. They're badass.
Oh, yeah, they are. Yep, that's what I was gonna say.
They did the spikes right.
Oh yeah, the way the neck looks from the front on Godzilla 2000 looks awesome.
I love how this guy, they're like, is everyone safe? Is everyone up here? And they're like, no, there's 14 or 15 people. And he's like, all right, well, she's got to be one of them. She's a complete idiot. So he just drives on through. He's like, all right, I got to find her.
This our main male protagonist, one of those explorer businessmen. He has to drive into Godzilla, like towards Godzilla, because he, as Caleb pointed out, knows that his girlfriend's gonna be about to
And
be.
she does
Girlfriend or
not
is it his sister?
disappoint.
I'm so confused.
Oh, actually, it might be.
It might be the.
I think it is the sister, actually.
Is it the sister?
No, it's the girlfriend.
No. Yeah, you're right. It is. Well,
See, you can take him out of the movie, and the movie doesn't change.
yeah, it actually doesn't matter which one it is.
No, it doesn't.
But yeah, they're like, there's one
You gotta
girl
save
back
him.
there, and then he's like, oh, that is her, and so he just keeps going.
I still think that the character.
That's definitely her.
Yeah. What if it wasn't? Like he's like, oh,
He's like, oh well, at least I
Well, then he
saved
just
some random
saved-
girl.
You know, he just helped out some random person. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Nothing changed.
are you sure?
Yeah, just press the triangle button lightly
Sorry.
without
We're
pressing the...
working with a PlayStation
okay, all
4
We
here.
almost had some technical difficulties, but it was saved.
That would have been pretty brutal.
Yeah, it would have been.
I think that the characters in this film are a lot better than the characters in
Despite the fact that
Godzilla
we
Raids
couldn't
Again.
remember if this is the sister or the...
I still think that they're fleshed out.
I know,
more
they
than the
were.
Godzilla
They're
Raids
much
Against
easier
character.
to watch, that's for sure. Like, when you're watching them on screen, it doesn't feel like time is slowly passing by, like in Godzilla Raids Again.
They're not as good, in my opinion, as the characters introduced in Gojira, but
No, and I don't think anything in this series. I mean, we'll see with Resurgence what happens. They have a really interesting director in charge of that movie.
okay.
But I don't think we'll ever see like a really art housey dark Godzilla movie ever again. I mean, unless an American version like decides to just
Hit it out of the park.
really hit it out of the park. And,
and
I
go-
thought the last one was really good.
Yeah, go radically different,
But
basically, from what
I-
Godzilla films are.
Godzilla was still a good guy.
Yeah.
So that's different. But yeah. The newest one, Godzilla Resurgence, which will probably be our last Godzilla movie that we'll ever review on this podcast, because it's coming out in July, I want to say,
Of this year?
of this year, 2016.
Oh, okay.
In Japan.
Will you guys be? Oh, okay.
And so we'll probably get a hold of it a few months after that.
Will you be caught up by then?
I don't think we'll be caught up by then. So that's what's making me think that we'll definitely get to that movie.
There's a lot of Godzilla films, and taking them at the pace we are, it's going to be a while.
The dude who is directing and co-writing that movie wrote and directed Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Really?
Yeah. And so I'm, thinking about Neon Genesis Evangelion, thinking about that weird, really artsy, weird dude who wrote and directed that TV show. That is, I don't know if he directed them, but I know he wrote on them, and he was kind of the main guy behind him. That's going to be an interesting Godzilla movie.
Oh, yeah. Already seen the
The
suit.
trailer. Yeah, that was. Did you see the trailer?
No, there's a trailer. I
Yeah,
have not
there's a
seen that
trailer.
yet. I'm going
It's
to have to
kinda
watch
crazy.
that after this. All I've seen is the images of the suit that they're going to use. The, like, you know, flesh eaten off of Godzilla looks scary, like veiny. Yeah.
Oh, and he pressed the bomb.
Ooh, but
And nothing happens.
what will happen is a cool explosion.
That's true. This is I don't know. This is one of those scenes that, as a filmmaker, it's like, well, you can't really last too long here because the movie's called King Kong versus Godzilla, so the audience knows that King Kong's going to get out of that boat, and so you know you got to keep your tension up a little bit, but the tension's not really going to be there because the audience knows what's going to happen next. But
Yeah.
because they put that explosion thing in there, like why isn't the explosion thing going off? And they're all trying to shoot it. It kind of makes us hold on a little bit more. So that's decent filmmaking right there.
That's true. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, they do a decent job at tension building in this film.
Ah, yeah, that's one of the coolest parts of this movie is when King Kong comes out of the water and everybody's in the boat and they're all ducking and King Kong looks like a badass. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
dorky face aside.
Flailing his arms.
Of course, yeah, you're right. In the wide shots, he looks much better than in the close up, in which he does look a little bit dirty.
Yeah.
I even thought King Kong's cry was pretty cool in this film, like his roar.
Yeah,
A lot of playing with toy trucks for this movie.
there is a lot of playing with toy trucks, and
I want to do the dump truck today.
I don't know. Like, are there a whole bunch of guys with like remote controls controlling the thing? Or are they
That's
on
true.
tracks moving along? I don't actually know like how they're choreographing all these little vehicles. Now that I think about it, it is actually kind of impressive, like what they're able to do.
I would really bet that a lot of them are remote controlled.
Yeah, probably remote control, but I do. They could have probably gotten like some stock construction footage and filled it up.
I'm pretty
And
sure
they
they're
never do.
miniatures.
They never do.
Oh, that's why, remember in Gojira when the military's like coming in, we kind of were like, whoa, this is actual like...
Yeah, that is actual military footage. It was
Yeah.
16 millimeter military footage that they blew up. But this is like construction site stuff. I think they could probably
Could have.
probably gotten
Chose to do
that
miniatures
footage pretty
instead.
easily. Oh, they're building a building down in. Okay, well,
Okay,
you guys mind if we film?
although the movement
Yeah,
of the suit
suddenly
actor,
King Kong is on land. I would like to just point that out.
running.
And it's like,
destroying.
oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like tripping the whole way. That's what it looks like to me. He's losing his balance more and more as he goes along.
Whoa.
Who put that power
Oh, one of the weirdest lines. King Kong is a real animal.
Oh, yeah. They're like, oh, we got to put some sort of message in this movie. Let's chuck it in here. And then they chuck it in at the end, too. I'm like, oh, my God.
Godzilla's not a real animal because he was created like with radioactive activity, but King Kong is a real animal.
So beware.
So beware.
Yeah. Japan
Careful,
hates
this
lizards.
thing's real. The other thing is fake.
Yeah.
He's already destroyed plenty of Japan, in the last two films, but beware of the real animal.
Oh, and here they come to meet each other. So I'm wondering, did they have a prior relationship, do you think, Drew?
You mean King Kong and Godzilla?
Yeah.
Since they're both these demigods / gods, I guess. They might have, actually.
Well, in the Godzilla lore so far, Godzilla is a species because, in Gojira he dies and then another Godzilla shows up.
Right.
So it depends on how many Godzillas there are and how many King Kongs there are.
You want to go, bro?
Come at me, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little chest pump thing that King Kong does.
Yeah.
It's pretty hilarious.
Come at me, bro. Come at me.
So in spite of it being laughable when King Kong is running like across the screen with his arms flailing, if you've ever seen like a orangutan or an ape or a gorilla run, they do like move their arms like that. So, the suit actor watched actual gorillas.
It was the Just Do It by Godzilla just there. He was like moving his arms up. There it is. There it is.
Just do it. Oh, they need to make that into something with Godzilla and what's his face?
I also find it, They could have done so much more with King Kong here. Conveniently, there's always boulders around for him to
Giant
throw.
boulders.
Yeah.
Hey, he should have like taken a mountain
Explosive.
and just smashed it, like, and then made boulders out of that. That would have been cool. You know,
That would have
punch.
been cool, but I feel like that would have been expensive, and they would have had to
Exactly.
reset the side of the mountain for take 2, and they didn't want to do that. So let's just say there's some boulders. You know, there's pieces of the mountain that already fell.
And man, these are just ideas off the top of my head. King Kong could have taken like steel girders or whatever from broken buildings and like tried to choke Godzilla with it. There's so much they could have done.
Then he was into it. He like picked up like the Universal Studio ball and like stuck it in his mouth. Okay, now go.
Just changed from an epic fight to an S&M fantasy
Yeah.
between King Kong and Godzilla.
So yeah, Godzilla just trashes King Kong here. He
Yeah,
burns him a
exactly.
little bit, and he's like, "Whoa! No one said anything about fire breath. I can't do this."
King Kong's like, I quit.
Yeah, dude, I am out.
So there was a rumor that I have to address that I was a perpetrator of in the last episode,
And
which some of our listeners probably know, but have forgiven me, I hope.
this is a call out to Ruby Soho, a commenter on our
Okay.
website.
I was about to go check and see what the name was on the website, but now I don't have to.
So she
Someone's
mentioned
prepared.
what we purported in one of our last podcasts, that there is a dual ending. There's a difference between the ending of the Japanese version of this film and the American version. Joe?
There is no difference. It's in fact, there's plenty of re-editing. There's plenty of new footage for the American version of the film. However, King Kong wins, sort of, in both versions.
Yeah. I'd call... What would you both say? Do you think he won, Caleb?
I'd say he probably came out on top, but I mean, Godzilla just was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna go home now."
Yeah.
It's more of a I can live underwater, so I don't need to fight.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
you can
wondering
go
why
home.
there's. I mean, of course, we'll see some more, but in the future. But I'm wondering why there wasn't another appearance of King Kong in the Godzilla movies.
That's a good question.
They worked it out.
I mean, it almost seemed like
You're like,
it almost seemed like it was going to happen
Well, what
just
you get,
because they didn't kill him off.
yeah, what you get in all these other films is they just perhaps stylistically they just chose to go with like dinosaurs or robots. King Kong, like they've already said, King Kong is a real animal.
Yeah, we don't want real animals here. Not like Anguirus. Oh wait, Anguirus is not a real animal. He was made by radioactivity. That's right.
Oh yeah,
So which monsters in the Godzilla universe are real animals?
King Kong, I guess.
King
so
Kong
far.
and King Caesar.
King
who is
Caesar.
you said
Oh.
cat, but it's totally a dog-like thing.
Well, he has a cat face. He has like dog ears.
Yeah, it's got the dog ears. That's what I think of when I think of King Caesar. Is the stupid ears.
As a kid, there was
What other
this,
real
like,
animals?
I think that's it. Can you
Mothra.
think of it? Oh yeah, it's a giant moth.
Well, it's a
Mothra.
bug, but yeah,
But Mothra
It's
is not
close enough.
from the Godzilla movies, I guess. But neither is King Kong.
it's more of a cameo. So, yeah, that's true. King
Yeah.
Kong's the same way. Cameo in the Godzilla.
So which one's okay? So Mechagodzilla is an original Godzilla one.
Rodan isn't
But
even.
Rodan has his own movie.
I think King Ghidorah is an original. Like not
King
an original.
Ghidorah came from the Godzilla.
Yeah,
series.
yeah.
yeah. I wonder if. I would watch a standalone King Ghidorah movie, wouldn't you?
Well, that's the thing is, what are they? They would have to make it like Gojira because he's a bad guy. Like
Right.
King Ghidorah is just a bad guy. He's not. Yeah. What would you do with him in a film?
He senses something's wrong here, but
Yeah.
he's like, "Why are they not attacking?" Dude, what are you guys doing?
Oh,
Falls into the pitfall trap.
that is an elaborate plan. Just super elaborate. Okay, guys, you got half a day to dig the biggest pit
Yeah,
known to man.
Hey,
We got to
you
build the Kennecott copper mine right here.
get those toy trucks to work.
Hey, you got to remember, these are the same industrious folk that built that huge electrical fence in like a
The whole
day.
fence around Tokyo Bay.
Somehow they pull off miracles to like trap Godzilla or
Shit, man.
prevent
They gotta
them.
like convert. Like they got that special little thing in their constitution that lets them like suddenly turn their nation into a communist nation for a day when a giant monster attacks so that they can get the shit done.
They just have to repurpose people's
All right, guys,
homes,
everybody stop. Let's
businesses. Go. It's for the greater good.
I would like to see that in the Japanese Constitution.
Yeah.
Amendment number 103.
This entire document.
In the case of Godzilla coming to shore.
Everything else in this document is null and void.
Yeah. Until the monster has been destroyed or
sent back to its home, yeah.
Or quelled, yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. What you pointed out, Caleb. Godzilla does that in most films. He just kind of walks away, swims away. Even mid-film sometimes when he's facing a foe, if he's like, oh, okay, crap, I'm outmatched, he just swims away for a little while and shows back up. Like if the monster wasn't like thoroughly beaten, then he shows back up again because, he's got to end the title fight.
Yeah, new one same way. Shows up later and trashes the weird bug thing. I don't even know what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, whatever those were in the new legendary Godzilla movie.
I felt kind of dumb not knowing, but I guess it's just something new.
Yeah, they weren't like a known monster, really.
The conundrum of every single Godzilla movie is how do you have a movie centered around people that...
What you pointed out earlier in this podcast, just barely, monsters. You were like, why are they always journalists? Because think about it, in order to have your characters have direct involvement with like Godzilla through the film, they got to be journalists, have something to do with like the news, be military, or be scientists. I really can't think of another occupation that our main characters could have and also have something to do with like driving the storyline with Godzilla, or just be close enough to be like, oh, it isn't just some sort of coincidence that they're there, because everybody's there. I mean, like the whole nation's there watching the attacks. So how can you directly involve your characters? Again, newspaper reporter, or reporter, something to do with the news, military, or scientists. I can't think of any other occupations you could really have and have them have direct involvement with the Godzilla storyline.
I have not seen the remakes of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, and this might be the plot that they take. But, like, you could have your main characters fighting Godzilla through a Mechagodzilla suit.
That'd be pretty sweet.
It's always, like, evil aliens that are sent to, like, take over the world or something that build Mechagodzilla.
Mm. They're like, oh, that thing's cool. I bet you we could make one of metal.
More metal.
Yeah. We go to war.
Oh, man.
I'm over here.
You could, and I guess they sort of do, you could make Godzilla the true protagonist of the movie.
Actually, they do in some of the films, like with the Son of Godzilla, any films where it has the Son of Godzilla, you get to hear them.
The Son of Godzilla.
Remember, you get to hear them though. Like Godzilla talks, it's like telepathy or whatever, but like the monsters all talk to each other. That's weird.
You could have that. You could have silent protagonists. There's some old like 1960s Disney movie, I think it's a Disney movie, in which the characters are like animals. They're like dogs in that get lost in the woods or whatever.
Oh,
they had a remake. It was like Incredible Journey or whatever, but I'm talking about like the original old one. There was just nothing. There was no voiceover or anything for the animals or anything like that. They were still able to make I'm not sure if it's any good because I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but they did make a movie with completely silent non-human protagonists.
Huh. Oh, right here is where King Kong just defies Godzilla's nemesis fence and just eats the electricity.
Yeah, because,
Godzilla never has any problems with those.
No, he touched it and he was like, again?
Well, you got to think our superpower, in quotes, of King Kong here is electricity. Something about like the thunder, like powers him up, remember?
That's right.
Yeah, so
electricity doesn't hurt him.
It makes sense that it's what creates the blue, his blue outline that makes him superpowered here pretty soon.
So maybe how this could be the same King Kong that we know and love from 1933 is that he was he was falling under the Empire State Building, and suddenly there was a huge lightning storm, and just like in a perfect pseudoscience 1930s sort of way,
Exactly.
a giant bolt of lightning goes straight past the buildings
Down.
and onto the ground, into which King Kong lay, and King Kong just like he comes to life, and he just gets huge, and all he wants is some freaking painkiller grape juice.
Yeah.
And so he has to go back
my
to
gosh.
Skull Island. That's how we connect the two movies.
Yeah.
There needs to be an in-between movie, though, like a prequel to this one.
All the inhabitants of Skull Island who were like, oh, thank goodness that giant monkey is gone, unless it was his god, their god or something. He comes back and he's even bigger. They're like, oh, crap.
Hurry, get him his meds.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would like to see that movie, though. Like, 'twas beauty killed the beast, and then just like,
Oh, superpowered King Kong.
oh my god. Does he look a little different now? He looks like he's a man in a suit all of a sudden. I
Giant
don't
man in
know
a
what
suit.
happened here.
And he's a lot uglier.
Of course, King Kong always needs the little dolly with him.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand how gentle he can be all the time. Like I'm really impressed by his gentleness with the.
Well, again, he is a real animal, so
He's a real
got
animal.
this.
Yeah, that's right.
He finds human females attractive.
Yeah, no, I don't find
Tarzan to Jane.
I don't find I might not. There might be people out there like this, but I don't find like ape females attractive.
What if they're coming on to you? I mean, technically.
How long have you been in the jungle for? That's the question.
Yeah. This guy has nothing. You got to remember this. There are no
Giant
Queen
apes.
Kongs.
Oh, true. So that means that this had to be that same King Kong from, the original King Kong, because it's true. There are no female King Kongs.
It's like, well, she doesn't look quite right. She's brunette. I don't like brunettes as much, but yeah, I guess I'll take her.
If I have to.
Yeah, if I have to. I wonder if King Kong start getting the shakes and he'll drop her.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't had him.
Hasn't had female contact for quite a while.
I was thinking of the pain meds.
Oh, that's what you were thinking of. Gotcha. So I really I was thinking about how they filmed this. The suit actor for King Kong here gets up on top of a building. They had to put like supports on this building. Usually these buildings are meant to be destroyed.
Right.
Well, this is a solid building that they
I think
created.
that's still the Diet building that was destroyed in the first Godzilla movie.
Yeah, what's with Ishiro Honda's obsession with that?
That's really why the guy's mad. He's like, we just finished that. The budget was huge.
just got reconstructed. Godzilla just destroyed that.
You know how much my taxes went up because of that thing? Get off!
There is a video on YouTube of a guy doing a speech at UCLA in which he goes through like all the periods of the Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
And he talks about the political and socioeconomic situations in Japan during the time, and how the Godzilla movies, with the morals that they reflect, and how the monsters kind of like what things they destroy or whatever reflect kind of like the ideas of, or they reflect what society was going through at the time.
Right, that's same goes for American cinema too. I mean, Bane initially in Batman was like a luchador guy. He's like this Mexican dude,
And they made him a terrorist.
they made him Middle Eastern terrorist kind of guy.
Right.
Like that's they just mold it.
Right.
Admittedly, it's better, at least for the Batman movie. I'm not sure for this, but that would.
Well, sometimes the further away Japan got from war, the more Godzilla was kind of like a friendly figure. And
Whether he becomes your anti-hero or your actual hero, yeah.
yeah, but the diet building destruction, he claimed, and I have no I I have nothing to back this up, so I could be wrong here. He claimed that was sort of a Godzilla destroying the Diet building was a message saying, democracy is a failure.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty strong
from the
message.
filmmaker. I don't know if the filmmaker felt that way. I mean, he's not destroying the Diet building now,
but he's showing his dominance over it. I mean, he's on top of it.
Yeah. Now they're tranking him with this mist that he's just loving. He's like, oh, drugs, yeah.
Totally killing the female that he's got in his.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably loosened up a little bit, but I guess she could Shadow of Colossus her way up the thing.
Yeah, but she's totally fainted, man.
Of course, she has.
Oh, they got the drums.
She is a woman. If there's anything difficult going on, they always faint in these old movies, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, where's the color drum that you spoke of?
I don't. Oh,
there it is.
Yeah,
you
they
were
did
right.
bring the drums.
One, yeah.
Okay, maybe they knew King Kong escaped. They turned the boat around. They're like, we need drums now. And they got the drums.
And the spirit of the coconut women.
Yeah, the spirit of the coconut women. I totally forgot about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the solutions to the giant monster problems become a little hokey.
Man,
yet we
King
love
Kong
them.
looks like he went through a lot of bad plastic surgery.
Oh, those close-up shots of his face are rough.
Yeah.
What?
Because this is the first full color
Sing him his
widescreen.
lullaby.
They didn't do. Yeah.
They didn't do what?
Oh, I want to talk about something, but I'm just mesmerized right now by King Kong. Oh yeah,
That's
okay,
good stuff.
Joe.
Great music.
So do you feel like this is kind of, in a way, the real beginning to Godzilla films that we know and love? Because the first two have a different feel from your typical Godzilla film. I'm saying typical as in when they became their
I think we
yearly
brushed about
thing.
this at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes, I think they're similar to what we see, what we're used to for having seen these movies as kids, getting them off of, VHS shelves for $3 a movie,
I
right?
started on the DVD format, but yes.
Or or renting them from Blockbuster, as it were, which is what I would often do whenever my mom would go to Blockbuster. I would always beg for her to get a Godzilla movie, and sometimes she would get me one. And that was nice. And the majority of Godzilla movies at the time, this was before Godzilla 2000 kind of revitalized Godzilla more. Most of the movies available were the 60s and 70s Godzilla movies.
Yeah, the main ones, I would say. The ones, when I say main, the ones that most people have seen.
Right.
So this is the first Godzilla film that really is like those films. Gojira is kind of a standalone in that it's a heavier movie with a message, and it's well done.
It's a film with a capital F.
Yeah, that's something you gotta
opposed to a movie. It's not really a true distinction, but
It's something you can
Film
sink
to
your
movie?
teeth
No,
into.
but-
It has a storyline.
First movie to this movie, there's quite the distinction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. This is a little bit. Yeah, this movie's fun, is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a movie that's meant to be fun, and I think it actually does it reasonably well. And I enjoyed this movie very much watching it.
Me too.
And I, despite its hokiness, despite its flaws, I think it does set Godzilla, although on a path that I prefer less than the dark Godzilla movies, and we're going to see some more Godzilla movies in the 80s. I do, it sets off Godzilla as what we know. So this is familiar territory that I enjoy being in, regardless.
Yes.
So
This is the beginning of our versus, monsters. Because, yes, although it was Godzilla versus Anguirus, that was such a quick fight, man. It was just over with.
well, he killed Anguirus, or at least defeated him. I think he killed him.
Oh, yeah. He totally killed him.
Yeah, but Anguirus comes back in later movies, so it's like,
I bet it's another Anguirus. Yeah.
he kills him at the midpoint of the movie, and then the heroes have to kill the monster. which I'm sure the screenwriter at the time thought was necessary. But obviously in later Godzilla movies, they're just like, nope, make the big monster fight the last thing in the movie. So
look at the background.
Audience
there.
goes home happy. Yeah. Drew was talking about this, the little drawn stop motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just animated. It's not necessarily stop motion, but
Yeah, that's what it feels like, though, with the jarring
They have some
quality.
interesting effects in this film, but
oh yes, I remember this.
Yeah, the
scene
balloons.
coming up. The giant balloons. Where did they have these balloons?
They got it from Around the World in 80 Days set. It was just nearby, and they're like, dude, I know what we could use.
Hey, does Toho have any giant balloons? We need about 9 of them.
fair enough.
Begin inflation. No, you got to let the tank warm up a little bit. Before you-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's like they have so many possible like solutions to giant monster problems that they just have these giant things laying around. We gotta have giant balloons just in case.
I got it. They had like between Raids Again and this movie, of course, they thought they destroyed Godzilla, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then Godzilla comes back, or at least a Godzilla comes back. And then they cover him in snow. And that's when the prime minister, I'm not sure how Japanese government works. You're obviously going to see this. Maybe he put some like executive order out of a New Deal sort of type, in which was the let's get the economy going by getting the people onto these giant monster projects, and they're all the money, all the tax dollars are going into research on how to deal with these monsters. And so this is just the culmination of all the projects they've been working on.
So it's like an Uber FEMA kind of a thing. It's just for giant monsters instead of natural disasters.
Man, that is an extremely logical explanation. Totally makes sense.
They'd had time too, 4 years in between the last attack and now.
Oh yeah.
What you guys are saying.
That must be what it is, because otherwise they wouldn't have a bunch of giant balloons ready to lift up a monster.
It makes me wonder what other plans and like resources they have like in storage.
I don't know, but my favorite part is that they don't just put balloons on the monster and like push him up into space.
Oh yeah.
They get helicopters, 2 helicopters to drag him across the air, which is I admit, like, totally, I guess if you had balloons that large to lift the monster, if you got past that logical gap, I guess that would be the logical thing, was that you had to have something to steer it.
You
Which,
just tow them along.
but when I first saw this, I was like, this is so bizarre looking. Just, yeah. Too bad the Up house didn't have that. The extra little helicopter dragging the house along.
Yeah.
And it looks like they were going to try to throw him into a volcano. They were headed towards a volcano.
Yeah. No, the target was Godzilla.
Oh, they want to throw him at Godzilla?
So there was one stop motion Godzilla shot followed by an animatronic Godzilla shot. Once again, unusual. There's the toy Godzilla looking up.
Yep.
And
King Kong has awoken.
later on, it's pretty much all suit for Godzilla.
Yeah. So
So it is cool in these early movies to see Godzilla animated in other ways.
the Godzilla suit in this film, for me, it
Coming
feels
to the
like
fight.
an in-between of, oh man, the toy is just like thrown down some dirt.
Okay, we're gonna have King Kong slide down, like
On his
he's
butt?
on a sled, but he's just gonna be on his ass.
Chase me,
He's gonna kick Godzilla. Godzilla's gonna flip. Okay, how are we gonna make him flip? I don't know. Just throw a toy, get down, and we'll film it.
Exactly.
They won't
Make
know.
the shot a little blurry so you won't be able to.
Yeah, there you go. Put a little camera shake in it. We got it.
Yep. So the Godzilla suit. To me, this is like an in-between suit of the Gojira suit and the Godzilla Raids Again suit. The Gojira suit being pretty bulky. I mean, I have a little action figure here where it looks just like the original suit from the 1954 Godzilla.
Right.
And then in Godzilla Raids Again, wow, he's slim. Like even his legs and his arms are really slim.
I don't know how he fattened up in that ice cube that he was stuck in, but
Yeah, exactly.
It was made of sugar. Yeah. It was a giant sugar cube.
Oh, King Kong's waiting for the opportune moment.
So there is there a head to the Godzilla suit, or do we ever see a close up on Godzilla's face in this movie?
Not really, especially compared to Godzilla Raids Again. The director of that film did a lot of shots of Godzilla's face.
Okay,
This looks
all right.
so. This makes me feel wrong.
This does look like a rape scene is
Yeah.
about to occur.
Well, I mean, you got the scene of Godzilla like freaking out. He's pushed up against a wall, and you know King Kong's right behind him.
King Kong's trying to lift up his tail.
Yeah.
Gosh, those boulders do nothing against Godzilla.
I think Ishiro Honda specifically referenced the throwing the boulders around as something, too childish.
Now they're going to hug.
For the Godzilla movie that he would like to make, which of course is an anti-nuclear, dark, brooding, scary sort of film. But, he made like 1 million of these, so I guess he doesn't say no.
Yeah, exactly. Well, from the director's perspective, thinking of how am I going to best preserve something I, helped create or put to film, I'd better direct them, make sure that its integrity isn't compromised.
Maybe, yeah.
I imagine all the scenes where Godzilla's taunting King Kong, that he has like a Kevin Hart, like really high-pitched small man voice, and he's just trash talking him.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah, this is a great fight, though. Like, the Anguirus Godzilla fight is bizarre because of the sped-up stuff. And this is really... although it has its kind of, like, ridiculous, funny moments, which, of course, is partly why we watch these movies.
Oh,
Yeah.
Totally.
It's just awesome. It's an awesome fight. He just hits his head like...
The dude in the Godzilla suit, when he was trying to get up, he looked like he was actually frustrated. He's like, come on! You said cut. Why are you still filming?
Just do it.
Yeah.
I know, Godzilla over and over again flails his arms. And one thing that I don't remember Godzilla really using his tail as like a weapon as much. In this film, he uses it quite a bit.
No, in the original one, he busts some buildings up with his tail, but he doesn't like whip it around.
Yeah, I'm just saying in fights, he doesn't like usually use his tail as much.
Yeah, not usually. It is something new for this movie. I've also never seen him kick dirt on another monster. But
He really doesn't like that King Kong is a real animal.
Yeah,
I
he
want to be a
hates
real
it.
animal too.
Screw you and your PETA, or PETA, whatever it is.
Screw you and getting the females,
Yeah. I don't ever get the chicks.
I just crush them.
It's the
Set 'em on
scales.
Yeah. Oh,
there it is.
the stop motion Godzilla.
See,
drop
Godzilla
kick
did
to
a
the
Tom
chest.
Cruise double kick. He just reared up and kicked him twice in the chest.
Exactly the things that Godzilla is capable of. How did he rear up and do that? Somehow he did.
He's loosened up since being stuck in that thing for 4 years.
He's become more limber.
Yeah.
He's gained weight.
He's gained weight.
all from being
and
stuck in an
become more
iceberg.
limber. He's much more handsome than he was before.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, and his suit is gray.
At this point, because I had believed the rumor, I really thought King Kong was just gonna lose here, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is how it's done.
Yeah.
Except for he misses the fire shot.
Yeah,
He's like,
Godzilla missing the
"Yeah."
fire. I don't know. That is a little bit iffy, but
He needs to spend more time at the
they
range.
don't want to kill the person in the suit. I'm guessing. Is what-
Oh.
Well, also, to actually put it in real storyline perspective, he's got him down, and he's like, "Come on, it's got to be like a fair fight, honorable. Get up, so I can beat you back down."
He is the Japanese monster out of the two.
Oh,
It's all about the honor.
Oh, no.
Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Oh, we got some lightning going on. Did King Kong summon the lightning? What's
maybe the god of thunder, Thor, is rooting for King Kong here.
he must
Yeah.
be? I would like to see Godzilla versus Thor.
That one could work.
Oh, see now I thought he was going to swing him a little bit more than that.
Gives King Kong like super strength, the lightning, which
I don't know like Godzilla would care much about the lightning too much.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't like 1,000,000 volts, as we saw earlier, but it's not like detrimental. It's just like ooh. I'm not going to go that way.
Kind of a tickle he doesn't like, yeah.
I'm going to walk around your stupid fence. Take that, budget.
I don't know why the helicopter didn't land after those storm clouds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Keep flying.
They went away quickly. Those storm clouds, like, look, now the sky.
We gotta land.
Oh, man.
We're gonna die up here.
King Kong is just using brutal tactics here.
Yeah. That's one of the
Tree.
coolest parts of this fight is him shoving the tree in his mouth.
Yeah, King Kong shoves the tree into Godzilla's mouth.
Oh man, that flip! I was wrong.
Yeah, that looked legit.
There is no. The suit actor in the King Kong suit flipped the actor like over his shoulders.
Man, how did that not ruin the Godzilla suit?
He flipped him completely. How did most of this wrestling not ruin it? Because like for a bit they're both on the ground struggling against each other.
I bet we don't see it, but I bet at the end of like every shooting day, there's probably a couple people that like double check the suit,
Yeah,
and then like put some latex in like the cracks that have come up, and then paint over it. They probably repair the suit in between shooting days.
yeah, and I wonder if at this point with the budget and the effects that they have, if they just have one suit or multiple. I don't know.
I would like to state that the budget for this movie was 5 million yen, according to Wikipedia. And 5 million yen in today's money is a US dollar equivalent of $50,000, which
There's just no way.
ain't much. And $50,000, now, I don't know what the rate would be for nowadays based upon yen back then. But even $50,000 back then was an extremely low amount of money. But I think this was kind of a big budget movie, so I'm all confused as to like how expensive or cheap this movie really was.
We're gonna have to fact check that because as far as effects go, this is a pretty effect heavy movie and it looks good. You know, the effects they use for the time.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it'd be sweet if right there King Kong was just gone. Like he just got obliterated by the flame.
Now Godzilla's a little scared. He was like using this castle as like, you know, ring around the rosy.
I tried to find out what castle this was that was destroyed in this movie, and I could not find the information. So if anybody knows what castle is destroyed, tweet me at Joseph DeGolyer, DeGolyer. So I would like to know, because I kind of want to get like a castle count for the show. Like what ancient Japanese structure did the monster ruin this movie?
So far our count is 2, the Osaka castle in Godzilla Raids Again, and our second is an unknown castle.
Yes. I don't know. Does the diet building count? I guess that would have been a new thing.
It's a structure of significance.
It is a structure of significance, but it's not that old.
I think this fighting ends abruptly, don't you?
It does, but I'm trying to remember how it ends. I honestly can't remember.
That's how it ends.
Yeah, it already ended.
Oh, it ended?
Yeah, they just go into the sea and then
No, because I remember King Kong like floats away
Well, yeah, so it's done.
King Kong swims away back to his islands.
as the victor.
Yeah.
There was no clear victor, but yes.
I mean, you see the little...
I think he was named Victor because Toho put out some... I read it earlier today. Toho put out some article or something like that, or some publication that went through all their movies, and it put that King Kong had won.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, Godzilla up to this point is basically unstoppable.
Well,
as far as the movies I've seen, like he gets stopped eventually by something, but he's not able to be truly defeated. It's always some BS. Oh, he's trapped on this island, or he's here.
Except for the original, man. He got killed.
That's true. The original one, he did get destroyed.
see, but I think the original one did the most destroying in one film.
The deoxidator, or whatever the hell it is.
The oxygen destroyer is what kills the original Godzilla.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Oh, man. They got to tease the next film.
Yeah, this one right here. I guess that we humans must change how we treat plants and animals.
It stopped from being a anti-nuclear thing to a environment.
Yeah,
message.
I'm like, jeez.
And just before then, the character
Dude, it's
was
all
like,
over Japanese.
It's like
film.
is
all over Japanese film for forever. We must be more in tune with nature. We must stop building all these buildings. It's everywhere.
Oh.
I'm not kidding you. Like you thought, like the green thing was a last 20 years sort of a thing. In Japan, every freaking movie on the planet has some green message.
I just wonder if these Godzilla movies are like their version of Aesop's fables. You know, they have like don't blow stuff up with nukes, and then they have treat animals right.
Tell me what Aesop fable that.
And there's going to be another one that's like slow and steady wins the race. You know, Godzilla when he's slow wins.
Oh, dude,
against
son of Godzilla, man. It's all about how Godzilla teaches his son things.
Yeah, that sounds horrid.
And the little kid that the movie's about, where all this stuff is taking place in his head.
Yeah, it's like his imagination.
His imagination, that he's learning the lessons from Godzilla in his head.
Wait, the son?
Or it's an actual human boy that's
There's
like
a human boy being bullied, I think.
Whoa. So son of Godzilla, it's not an actual son of Godzilla. It's like a human kid.
There's a human kid having problems in his life, and he imagines a son of Godzilla being taught by Godzilla.
Right and wrong, basically. Good moral choices.
So it's...
Dude,
that's ridiculous.
I'm so not looking forward to watching that fucking thing.
Don't daydream. That'll be the message at the end.
I'm excited.
Are you excited?
I like Manila.
I'm
or
excited
his name
for Mothra versus Godzilla, which I've seen like a million times, and I will watch happily over and over again.
Oh yeah, for me, Terror of Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, the Mechagodzilla, King Ghidorah.
Oh yeah,
any movie that King Ghidorah shows up in, I am there. Batra, Godzilla and Mothra, the Battle for Earth or whatever. That one's one of the 80s ones I freaking love. I'm excited for that too.
We're gonna get to them. All right, that ended the film.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys do? Any sort of review? Like what kind of?
We're supposed to rank them, and sometimes we forget to.
I think we've done it in every episode but one so far.
Okay.
So, what's your ranking?
What's my ranking? Okay. Are we including English and Japanese versions?
For these ones,
did you do episodes on them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would include it.
Okay. I'd put the greatest Godzilla movie ever is probably the original Godzilla movie. I put King of the Monsters right below it as a movie that's not great, but it's got a lot of the good stuff from the original in it, and it has its own goodness, I guess. It has its own charm. Let's see, we've watched King Kong versus Godzilla, the Japanese version.
So that's your third?
That would be my third right now. And then Godzilla Raids Again, Japanese version, as my fourth. And then Gigantus the Fire Monster. That's my absolute lowest as of right now. So
it's going to remain really low. Gigantus the Fire Monster. Okay. I agree with you entirely, other than I would actually put, just because I like it. King Kong vs. Godzilla, numero dos.
Okay. All right. Well,
not a diss on Raymond Burr.
Not.
Do you guys just do ones you've seen for this playthrough or watched through?
So far, yeah.
Oh. Well, then this is both the best and worst for me. So it's the only one I've watched.
No, you've seen the original Godzilla, though.
Okay, this one's the worst then.
Okay.
Original one's
number two.
That. This one's the worst. Number two.
That I've seen, yeah.
This one is a number two to you.
Yes.
Well, you should watch the other ones, or at least some of the other ones with us.
Maybe.
You probably won't watch the English version of this movie, will you?
No, there's no chance of that. 2 times is plenty. I think I gave it like 2.5 on Rotten Tomatoes.
You're such a dick. Okay, what?
That's generous.
All right. As someone who never watched these movies as a kid, I understand why you would probably be like, why watch these things? So let me ask you something. What about this movie did you like as an outsider, having only seen the American Godzilla movies and, of course, the original Japanese masterpiece?
Yeah.
As an outsider, what about this movie turns you on and what turns you off?
This is going to be an interesting perspective.
Well, none of it really turns me on. I'm not really, that way. I don't even know what to describe that. I don't know. It's interesting. There's some cool stuff they did with some of the effects, but I don't know, the story is just really loose, and it's just this random encounter of Godzilla, and then just so happens around the same time that they go to summon go find King Kong because Godzilla's taken over the newspapers, and they can't get a good headline, they can't get any good ratings because Godzilla's everything, and they don't have Godzilla somehow. They can't report on Godzilla, and it's just weird. It's almost like the new Jurassic World movie where they're like, you know what, to fight the T-Rex or to fight this freak monster, we're going to unleash another monster, but we're going to control it, sort of. It's just weird like that. It's just disjointed, and then there's horrid acting, and I don't know.
Didn't see Godzilla raids again.
I didn't. I'm not saying it's the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just the worst Godzilla movie I've ever seen.
Okay.
It is kind of funny, though. There are some comedic elements to it, and there are some really good special effects. But there's some that are not so good. And
Well, it's not that the special effects are good. It's that you appreciate the special effects for being like a handcrafted sort of like there were people working on this special effect. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah.
it's not a CG
It's not a
thing we have.
Work.
it's not a 50s it's around this time monster movies and here in America they were like Attack of the Giant Gila Monster and crap like that, where it was like a video of a Gila monster
With like a
and
fin
then
attached to
the
its back.
teenage people going ah at it
Yeah.
and against a projection the whole time. Like
Well, that's like
those-
half of this movie,
like
though.
the quality of these monster movies versus those at the time, like there is artistry in this that was missing. And so, you watch sort of the beauty and the hokiness of the special effects and
Yeah, and yet the Japanese makers of these films, they took it serious enough to give it, like you said, pay respect.
yeah. I don't know.
So it's still numero dos.
Still
Yeah.
numero dos to you.
Oh, yeah. Easily. It's not better than the first movie. The first movie was a good movie.
You should watch.
Doesn't have to. It would have been a good movie without the monster. This would have been nothing without the monster. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a monster movie, but I don't know. That's one thing that I thought was cool about the first one is it actually had a little more depth. But
Good point.
I get what you're saying. You're definitely not going to come across any of that art film stuff later on in these movies.
yeah,
No.
it's not
So
gonna
as
be,
you watch these movies, I suggest that you watch the movies that I would suggest you watch are, I think most especially Godzilla vs. Mothra is probably, in my opinion, of the movies I've seen, and I've only seen about half these movies, and I haven't seen many of them in a long time. I would say that Godzilla vs. Mothra is probably the number one movie to see.
I'd say Mecha Godzilla as well. I think it has a cool storyline.
Yeah.
all right. Well, I mean, now that we're doing these at my place, I'll probably watch them.
Recording at your
Yeah, that's true. I don't have to watch it with you guys, but I can't just record because we have the sound off, so can't do the podcast
That would be an
part.
awkward thing to comment on.
Yeah, I'm just trying to watch it and you guys are just talking. That would be a really weird format, but I don't know. It's not bad. It's just I'm not really into the whole giant monsters period. Like I don't think the American ones are good either necessarily. It's just
You like the original King Kong?
yeah, it was okay.
You like the original Godzilla?
Yeah,
Did you like the new King Kong? Peter Jackson?
I didn't watch it.
Okay. It's not bad. You like Jurassic
Yeah.
Park?
Yeah, that's different though. That's dinosaurs.
Did you like Jaws?
Yeah, I like Jaws.
It sounds to me like you like giant monster movies. You just haven't fallen
Well-
in love with the more popcorny of their
Giant monster.
of that genre.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, I don't know. Dinosaurs actually existed, so it's a little more believable.
Yeah, not the Michael Crichton super fast T-Rex and the giant raptors.
True. They don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure that the T-Rex was a scavenger. Look at its arms.
Well,
like, what could it kill? What could it possibly kill that's not already dead?
I think there was an argument brought up in the Jurassic Park book that talked about the speed of the T-Rex and how it was like incorrect or whatever. So
Yeah,
they could make the T-Rex scarier in the book, and
Oh, so they actually adjusted it because the T-Rex would have been slower.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. I haven't read it forever, but I don't know. I like giant normal animal movies, I guess. And I haven't seen Pacific
like
Rim yet, and I know that's
25-foot shark and Jaws, that you can live with that.
Yeah, it's not quite as insane. I mean, I know there's huge animals out there. Although then again, you have Lake Placid, which is probably close to just as bad.
Ridiculous.
It's pretty crappy. And that's with modern stuff. Like, that couldn't even save it, but I don't know.
All right, well, we're gonna have to get you watching some more monster movies. You'll be a convert. You'll be a convert yet.
Yes.
All right, I'm
I made
down.
sure. I made sure last time I babysat my nieces, I showed them Godzilla and Mothra: The Battle for Earth, and I was like, I gotta get them started young.
Exactly.
Like-
Make some converts to this.
Like 8 years old.
fandom.
I'm like, it's about time. Let's get on this.
Yeah,
Get the Godzilla love going. Got to keep Toho in business.
I don't know, and that's one thing. Maybe it is because I didn't watch it as a kid, but at the same time, there's some things that I did watch that I will kind of not watch just to keep sacred, because I realize, just thinking about it, remembering what it was, that if I watched it now, it would just be like, I believed in this lie almost as a kid.
You believe that this was a great,
Yeah, like I
awesome
loved it, and
movie
it was just worthy of all this praise. And now,
piece of crap.
yeah, and like thinking about some of the stuff I really like Fern Gully. I haven't watched that in like 7 or 8 years. That's supposed to be.
That one would hold up.
It's not great.
Yeah, everyone says it sucks, but I remember it being awesome. I really liked it when I was a kid, so I don't want to watch it again.
Just watch Avatar. It's a
To
much better
ruin.
version of that movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll defend Avatar till the rest of my day.
they're all just Pocahontas, but Pocahontas is also another bad movie, so it's a bad example.
What's around
think
the
both.
riverbed?
All right. What counts to you as a bad movie? Just a disappointing movie, or do you have a threshold of quality? Because if you have a threshold of quality, you would think Pocahontas would poke up about over that.
I think Pocahontas is like maybe a 2.5 or 3-star movie. It's just lesser for the company.
Okay.
Songs aren't quite as catchy. The story is, I don't know. It's just not as good as the stuff around it. And I know you shouldn't necessarily treat it that way, but in a way you kind of have to, because it's like you got all these great Disney movies around then in the 90s. At least I'm pretty sure that's when Pocahontas was.
Yeah, early 90s.
Yeah.
Early 90s, early to mid to even late 90s Disney was like amazing. Hercules, Aladdin, holy crap, man. And then you
Beauty
get
and the
friggin'
Beast,
Pocahontas.
Hunchback
Yeah, Beauty
of
and the
Notre
Beast is
Dame.
amazing. I loved the Hunchback. And then this freaking Pocahontas movie, and I'm like, come on.
Well, I enjoy these schlocky monster movies regardless, and I know you guys do too, because otherwise you would not be listening to the show where Caleb comes on and crashes the party.
Yeah, we were able to have an outsider perspective, somebody who isn't just a typical, in general fan of these films. So
Yeah. So next time we're gonna watch King Kong versus Godzilla, the American re-edit new footage version.
this one's a lot easier to get your hands on. I got it in a bargain bin
Yeah.
at Walmart.
You can get this one on Blu-ray,
Oh yeah, that's what we're gonna be
Whoa.
watching it on. Hard doof.
not a burned DVD from a fishy website. An awesome fishy website, by the way. And I may buy future movies from there. In fact, I think I'm about 99% sure I'm going to have to get Return of Godzilla from there.
Exactly. If we have to get it through them, Sumo Gorilla.
None of them are like even rentable. It's just,
There,
nothing.
well, Return of Godzilla especially is not available here.
oh, okay.
You can get there is a re-edit with Raymond Burr, and the newest edition of that is the VHS one that came out in the late 90s. So that is a $38 VHS.
Jeez, that's sick.
Yeah.
Then you have to buy like a $500 VHS player because
Yeah.
there's only like 2 left
I
that
could
work.
borrow one from a parent. I think Drew might have
exactly.
one.
My parents have several.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy though. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, I think, is only available on VHS.
I'm still trying to figure out whether or not I watched the first Mechagodzilla
Or it might be
film.
on DVD, but it was a short run DVD, so it's hard to get a hold of that DVD.
Oh,
It's ridiculous. So,
limited copies.
Sumo Gorilla, I maybe we should stop bashing them because they might be like our number one source for Godzilla films in the future.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna have to see into the future.
I mean, and then just think about it. It's not your fault that they possibly stole it. You're just the consumer. You're an innocent bystander
Okay,
to their crime.
We talked about this before we started recording. Here is my policy on piracy. I am against all piracy. I'm against it because it takes money out of an industry like the movie industry, music industry, or the video game industry.
Agreed.
That if they didn't, that if we weren't pirating, they would have an extra like $2 billion in their industry. Like people who had pirated and actually paid for it.
Yeah.
And those $2 billion could be used to make more of the products that we love.
Yeah, more of
or
the media.
possibly to allow, like, let's say, what's a big studio? Universal Studios. They have to release a Fast and Furious movie every summer, so that they can get $700 million in their pocket. So that they can finance the rest of their studio and make more Fast and Furious movies. But should the smaller movies that had gotten pirated or the Fast and Furious movies made an extra $100 million on top of what they had actually made, they could take on risky projects that maybe would not have gotten financed, that the studios, they're not willing to put money into mid-budget adult films. I say adult films, I mean movies for adults to watch.
What do you consider mid-budget, though? What's
like a $40-50 million film?
So Tarantino movies,
Yeah.
mid-budget,
Yeah.
getting kind of wrecked in the office. Also,
It's getting wrecked in the box office.
it's
but
still
that's-
almost making money though.
it was kind of a failed marketing, I felt like, for that movie.
Well, the 70 millimeter
Hatefully.
is what ruined it.
I don't think it ruined it.
I think it did. I think the disappointment from critics coming out of that with the weird blotch and then some of the errors with it caused a lot of people to not go see it when they would have otherwise.
You think so?
I do.
Okay.
That's like a bunch of the bad reviews I've seen.
I really
it's
like
like
the movie, but
no, I think it's great, but
anyway, when you do that, you take it out of the industry. And here, okay, my policy is if the company has not made it available for you to get
In your region.
in your region or with modern technology, like they only have a VHS version of this movie, then yeah, go ahead and pirate it, because the company doesn't care about making money on the product. And so whatever, I won't say but Drew will order Godzilla vs. King Kong via Sumo Gorilla, who obviously burns the DVDs from Japan. So whatever.
yeah, that's respectable. I mean, I know with Final Fantasy, it's one of our big shows. That's a little different because it's a huge market over here. And so when they don't release one over here, it's like a giant slap to the face. It's like, we are
Exactly
your
the same
market. So I
the
don't know.
Godzilla fans here.
Is that the same too? Same here? Is there a lot?
No, I'm just saying I would feel the same way as
okay.
a Godzilla fan as them not releasing them.
Like you're getting shortchanged by not being able to watch a movie in a legal format, or not makes you uncomfortable
Thing is,
for ordering.
I
when
am
the
the victim.
actual studio puts
Yeah,
out their
see?
product, it's always a higher quality product, whether it's a higher quality MP3 or it's a high quality video product. It's always a better product than the pirated version also. So
Yeah, that's true.
part of it comes from just being a snob.
Well, and it's not some guy like with a video camera in the theater just ripping it.
It's not that also.
So
Anyway, enjoy our free podcast that it's not piracy. It's okay. You can just download this podcast, share it with your friends.
yeah, make everybody feel that.
Share it, recommend it.
Please do. You can go to GodzillaPodcast.com and you can talk to us on there. You can tweet me at Joseph DeGollier. That's DEGOLYER.
You can find me at Gojira Jaeger, JAEGER, or at Drew Daybell.
Mm-hmm. And also, there is a contact form on our website, so if you want to give us an email, we can check that also. We do have other shows on our network, as Caleb, of course, hosts many of them. You want to tell us about some of the shows that we got going on?
A little bit of a show whore over here.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we got the Ultimate Final Fantasy show. Joe and I are going through the entire Final Fantasy series, and we're just finishing up Final Fantasy 14. It's been a lot of fun, and we got a side show that we created that was reading bad fan fiction, and then we decided to make it erotic fan fiction that's also bad, and it's amazing.
This is not safe for work.
No. Is this show safe for work? I mean...
Godzilla podcast, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm glad I didn't drop any F-bombs then.
I dropped one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh. Then we can have one, though,
yeah,
right?
We can have one. It's PG-13.
Yeah, that's good enough. So yeah, there's that one. The super sexy swinging fan fiction. Me and one of my buddies, Jake. We just read bad fan fiction every week. We don't pre-read it, so it's just kind of whatever's there.
Yeah, I would like to specify that you guys aren't actually fan fiction fans.
No, not really. No.
Okay, so it makes the show a little bit more of a let's make fun of horrible fan fiction.
Kinda, except for I kind of feel bad because if we ever try to market it heavily, it's like we're kind of trying to get people that like that to listen to something that's mocking it. So I want to keep it on the down low, but essentially, yes, that's what it is, because we think it's the weirdest thing in the world. And then the soon-to-be retired Getting Fat show, where Joe and I try to not be so fat. And then
I would like to state that don't look for Getting Fat.
No, don't worry
go
about
to nudeclan.net. That's nude as in naked. It's not a porn site or anything like that. Nude Clan is our network as of right now, and we might change the website so that people can access it on the work.
Yeah, it's a little fishy.
Without having a troublesome title like that. But Nude Clan is our new show.
Mm-hmm.
And we have advertised it a little bit on this podcast, and it will be on iTunes within like 4 weeks of this episode coming up. Nude Clan is a video games show hosted by me, Caleb Schweiss here, and a couple other friends of ours. And we're going to go through news in the gaming industry, and we're going to talk about video games, and we're going to have about a half-hour section at the end of the show, which talks about, whatever the heck we want to talk about. So it's kind of okay. We've recorded 2 episodes right now. I'm really proud of it. I think it's a really fun show. And so please go check that out if you're at all interested in the video game world.
Yes, it's good. I've had a lot of fun recording those.
I can recommend them. I'm a fan of all these podcasts and listen to them.
Oh,
even the fan fiction one?
Haven't started that one. I should.
You lie.
Woo.
I don't know about that. Okay, go find the ones on Ultima's feed first. That'll get your feet wet, and maybe some other regions a little wet too.
How sexy this fan fiction gets.
All right. Well, we will talk to you guys later. Thanks for listening to the Godzilla podcast. Drew, you wanna? I can't remember the theme right now. You want to just end with the Godzilla original theme?
Yep.
All right. Which one? All right, this is good. Woo!